Okay, we have got the pre-master here in Cubase, and we're gonna route it to the Revox B77 tape machine to record the stereo sum and reduce the transients a bit and glue it together and introduce some nice tape saturation. The B77 is a so-called prosumer tape machine. So it's meant for the consumer, but it's a really good one, and it was used in studios as well, mainly to record a stereo master or pre-master, because it has got just 2 channels, left and right, and that's what we're gonna do now as well. And I'll run the channels a little bit hot, maybe plus 3 dB. That's in my experience a really nice effect. I've set it up as external effect in Cubase, so it when I render the track, it routes the signal out and in again to the sound card, and includes the tape machine. And that's what we're gonna do now. Okay, I have imported the tape rendering and we're gonna mastering it now. This is my analog mastering chain. There is a Tegeler Audio connector hidden in the desk where all the devices are connected. And I'll show you that real quick in Cubase. This is the plugin for the external effect, which I've set up. So you decide on which channels the signal goes out and where it comes back. And with this plugin from Tegeler Audio, I decide which device is first, in this case the Meindl. Second is this tube compressor, also from Tegeler Audio, it's the Schwerkraftmaschine. Then the Cream, which is a combination of an SSL clone or SSL type compressor and Pultec style EQ. Then it goes to this Magnetismus, which is a kind of tape emulation effect, but it sounds slightly different. And here's a very interesting part of the chain. It's a mid-side converter. It converts left and right to mid-side. So the left channel becomes the mono signal and the right channel becomes only the stereo signal. And we got this JDK equalizer. It's the EQR24 set up as a mid-side. So here I got just the mono signal and here the side signal. And you can see the bass is turned down. So we got a mono bass because the bass should not be stereo because it cannot be heard anyways under like 120 Hertz, and it would cause just some volume differences and phase cancellation. So the bass is almost gone after this chain. And here's a converter back from mid-side to stereo. So and yeah, the connector, which is the patch bay in this case, is full analog. It's just controlled digital via the computer. So there's no analog digital conversion in the patch bay. Okay, I'll start with the Meindl Massive Passive, which is a really nice EQ at the beginning of the chain, because I've got a really nice high pass filter, low pass for the very high frequencies above 18 kilohertz. And it sounds kind of creamy and round. So I like to have 2, or in this case even 3 equalizers in my mastering chain. 1 at the beginning and 1 at the very end, because it makes a difference if the EQ is before the compressor or after the compressor, because if it's before, and let's say you put in more bass, then that will affect the behavior of the compressor. So it will maybe duck down the signal each time the kick drum comes. And to avoid that, I'll not overdo it with the bass here, but I'll add bass at the end, for instance. So let's have a listen. With almost all the devices are not bypassed, but I set them so they don't really affect the signal. But we can already hear the sound of the chain. And the sound of the chain is already a nice effect. So let's say you got a track where everything is alright. Let's say there's enough bass, like the balance of the frequencies are right. It's compressed enough, then it still makes a difference if you put it through the analog devices. Like one device maybe would not make a big difference, but if you have 5 devices, especially a tube compressor, and there are many tubes in this equalizer as well, that kind of sums up and gives a bigger difference compared to if you would use all those devices digital. Okay, let's have a listen. I'll set the BPM to 135 and make a loop somewhere in the main part. Yeah, somewhere here maybe. So let's loop that. So I'll start the mastering process in a part of the track where many elements are playing, and then check if it still is okay in parts where there are not so many elements. What I check here is if I can cut some low frequencies, and I think I'll go for 22 Hertz, so it cuts all frequencies below 22 Hertz. We will do maybe some more low cutting with the plugins later, but let's keep it like this. I'll not add bass here, maybe I'll add some later. And I think it can, it could have some kind of 1K. Yeah, the Meindl is structured like this. You have the left channel and the right channel, and you need to do the same left and right or slightly differently. And then you can add a little stereo with that, by the way, because if you add more on the right side and less on the left side, or more on another frequency on the left side and cut it here, you can create a bit of deeper stereo field, because left and right is not the same. And if it's not the same, then you get some stereo effects. So we will add 1K. Yeah, and I'll over-exaggerate it a bit so that I can clearly hear what it's doing and where the frequency is. And test around with frequencies. That's too deep. Okay, I'll add some 1 kilohertz. Okay, that's alright. My analyzer shows already that the heights are alright. Maybe it could have a bit more bass, but we'll add that later. But I can see it here, the 100 Hertz are a bit too loud. Let's go to the Cubase analyzer to supervision. Okay, I wanted to see this one. Yeah, we could have a bit more bass, and I want to reduce something around 100 hertz. Let's have a listen. So I go to cut, it's in the bell mode. Okay, that's clearly too much, but now I know what it's doing. I'll choose a narrow band here, because I'm cutting something unwanted out. Yeah, like this. Then the signal goes to the Schwerkraft machine, which is a tube compressor, and I think we don't need much compression because the signal is very saturated from the modular-synth and from the bus channels and the insert compressors there. So we need, so I'll make sure the needle does not really move. So I just want to have the sound of the compressor, which is, yeah, it glues together the signal even a bit more, but it doesn't really change the dynamics. It doesn't cut some transients or reduce the dynamics anymore. Okay, that's enough. Then it goes through the cream. There's a fast, I've set up a fast compressor with a slow, with a fast attack and a fast release time. But yeah, we don't really need that for this track, so I'll let the needle move just 0.5 millimeter or something. But I'll add some bass here. It's too much. Yeah, like this. Then the signal goes to the magnetism. Yeah, we have some tape saturation already, so we don't really need much of that. I see how the converter sounds. That's iron, cobalt, nickel. Okay, nickel leaves a good amount of high frequency, so I'll let it here. Yeah, that's a nice level of saturation. And finally, let me check if I can add some mids here as well. Yeah, I think some 4K. Yeah. So if I want to find out a frequency which I want to highlight or reduce, then I would give it a lot of gain and flick through the frequencies like this. And then I reduce it back and give it a little bit. And maybe a little bit of bass as well. Yeah, around 60 Hertz. Then we check in the software. Yeah, it goes to this multiband compressor. I tend to set the lowest frequency really low, so everything below 40 Hertz gets compressed here a little bit. That's those frequencies which are, yeah, it's a lot of rumble which is not really needed for club tracks, so I tend to reduce that. Like this maybe, and it's good to have a controlled low end for club tracks because that frequency spectrum takes away a lot of energy. So we'll add a little bit of compression in this field as well, around, yeah, between 40 and 70 Hertz with a medium attack and a medium release time. You need to make sure that the release time is kind of half of the time between one kick drum and another kick drum. because the compressor should go back to normal, in the middle of two kick drums. Otherwise you hit the next kick drum and the whole signal gets reduced. So that looks good. And on the master, I got this plugin from UAD and Brainworks. I can add a little bit of stereo. I can do that here as well with just one frequency. I want to have more stereo at around 2 kHz, so I'll add that here. That's good. The bass is mono, below 127 Hz. That's also important. And then finally the limiter. I tend to use this free plugin because I really like it. It's the Limiter 6 and I apply a little bit of multiband limiter. Just a little bit. This way I can check the 3 needles, the green one, the red one and the black one. If something is moving a lot, then I know something is not right. So that looks good. I make the ceilings minus 0.3 dB, so the peaks don't hit the 0 dB. And that's the gain before the limiter. I'll set that to around, so it reduces around 2 dB at the final limiter. I think I can give it a little bit more bass. Bit more heights. Okay, that looks good. With this multiband imager I can widen the frequency between 1000 and 10,000 a bit. And here as well. The bass should be mono. I mean, I made it mono here and in the Brainworks already, but I'll do it again here. Let's check the... Okay, and the LUFS value. Okay, we got minus 14. And short term is minus 9. That's okay for techno. If you want to release your music on Spotify and all the streaming services, which I assume, at the moment they have an official value of, or target of, minus 14 LUFS. And if you reach that target, they are not giving you a so-called loudness penalty. So your track will have the same volume you master it. But for techno, I think it's okay to go up to even minus 8 LUFS. Because techno tracks, they need a certain level of energy and they should not be so dynamic because then they get a housey feeling sometimes. So I tend to compress them quite heavily, but I don't use compression just to get louder because the loudness war is kind of over because of that rule. So if you master tracks, concentrate on the balance between the bass, the mids and the heights, and use compression just to give it energy. But don't overcompress it just because you want to be loud, and don't go into the limiter just because you want to get loud, because that will just give you more loudness penalty. Okay, I'll export this track. I'll render it in 16-bit and 44.1 kilohertz, because this is the standard for pretty much everything music release related. So if you upload it to a distributor, they will want a 16-bit file. And the same for vinyl cut and manufacturing. It's all 16-bit, 44.1 kilohertz. And that's the format I'll export now. Okay, I have imported the mastered track, which we just rendered, and a reference track as well, because it's really important to compare your master with an already mastered track, which sounds good already, to find out if your bass is too loud, or the balance is not right, or if your track is too overcompressed or not loud enough. So let's listen to the reference track.
I'm going outside.
Okay, yeah, my analog analyzer tells me that
I'm going outside.
it looks good. I'll look on my digital analyzers. Okay. Then I play my track. And check it on the analyzer as well. Yeah, there's a lot of sub bass, but it's kind of in the nature of the track. So I recommend to not look just on the technical specifications, that your bass should be this volume and should have this much LUFS or whatever. I would recommend try to use your ears, because every track is different, and some genres even need less high frequencies to sound deeper and cooler in a way. But the style of those tracks is kind of the same. And if I compare them, they have kind of the same energy.
Going outside.
I flick through different parts of the track, like the intro and the main part, because sometimes the break gets too loud, so I compare the main part with the break real quick. Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I would say the track is finished and mastered and can be released.